Hello everybody and welcome back to the JP on Comms YouTube channel. If you're new around here, do subscribe to the channel of course down below, and also check out my Twitter and brand new Instagram page where I'll be posting my day-to-day thoughts on things going around the club and as well behind the scenes stuff on the Instagram. So do check out all the socials, but let's get into this new video here, and it is of course another all you need to know video. This time we're going to be taking a look at Maidstone United's latest #1 goalkeeper signing, and that is of course Lucas Covolan, a 32-year-old Brazilian born and goalkeeper who of course featured against us last season for Chesterfield. What a signing this is in terms of pedigree. I mean, we have not signed a player really this season who's coming in from a higher division, someone who's got experience at higher leagues as well. A lot of our players are of course much younger, very high prospects, but haven't really got that experience to back it up yet. So Lucas Covolan is the outlier in that. As I've already said, he's 32 years old, he is 6'4" tall, and he is someone who last season played over a dozen games for Chesterfield in the National League, had a man of the match performance against Maidstone at the Gallagher, of course. If you were there, you will remember that one. If not, go back and watch the highlights. He had a blinder. For me, this is a top signing, something we really needed. And if you watched the podcast I put out the other day on the channel, go and check that out. I'll put it in the corners somewhere. I did clarify that to get towards the upper reaches off the table, we're going to need a top class keeper, and that is what we've got here. So let's take a little look at the history of Covolan. Last season, of course, played for Chesterfield, as I said. 13 games for them, 19 conceded and 3 clean sheets. Now we know Chesterfield were quite a hot prospect last year at the start of the season, but didn't quite go too well for them. Both of their keepers were a bit hit and miss at times, and Covolan, to be fair, did contribute to that at times, but you've got to look at the wider picture for me. You can't put it all down to one player. Yes, he made mistakes, but sometimes things happen like that. I think the way he plays his game didn't suit Chesterfield. They were a very attacking team, left him quite exposed to the back from time to time as well. So I think the way Maidstone are looking to line up, as we've already seen, if you were at the Slough Town game, very good at the back. I thought Reece Greenwich had a blinder, was my man of the match, and I thought the rest of the back line played really well too. So back in the 21-22 season, he was playing for Port Vale, played 21 games for them. Also, only conceded 23 goals, kept 7 clean sheets. So in a third of his games just 2 years ago, in a much better division than where we are now, getting a third of his games clean sheets, that's very good stuff. And then 2020-21 season, 26 games played with Torquay, 20 goals conceded, and 11 clean sheets. So, almost half his games in that season were clean sheets, less goals conceded than games played. That's top stuff from Covolan there. So he's certainly someone who's got a wealth of experience in the National League and in League Two as well. He's also really coming in as probably one of the most experienced players in the squad. Obviously, we've got players who are around that age, but in terms of league experience and higher division experience, he is someone who is coming in pretty much at the top of the table for Maidstone. So really good signing on that aspect. Looking at his club history, he did end up starting off in Brazil, of course, where he was born, and way back he was playing in the youth teams for Trieste and Vasco da Gama, where Coutinho and Oscar, 2 ex-Premier League players, both featured in the same youth side as him. So very good youth pedigree. Of course, we spoke about that with Levi Manchi, coming from the same academy as like Alan Shearer and things like that. So, it's good to have players who, at least at a young age, have had that talent. There's always going to be something there to develop. Then played for a number of clubs in Brazil before moving to Spain for a couple of years, back in 14-16, playing for Atletico Rafal and Alaro. And then he ended up moving to Whitehawk. Now, that was 2016-17 season. So he's been in England for quite a long time, as you'll be able to tell by his interview with the club. Very good, clear English, and that's going to help massively in terms of commanding at the back. A lot of times you see in higher divisions when they sign players from foreign leagues and things like that, sometimes there can be that kind of barrier in communication, but we're not going to have that at all with Lucas. Very, very pleased on that front. He's a very commanding player as well at the back, but we'll get onto that a little bit more in a moment. Spent time out on loan at Lewis, ended up signing for Worthing, obviously a much better team than the two previously mentioned. Ended up earning a move to Torquay, who of course were fighting for playoffs. Ended up scoring in a playoff final, which they ultimately did lose out on, but that season earned him a move to Port Vale, and unfortunately didn't work out in the end at Port Vale. Obviously was released over the summer, but did spend a lot of last season on loan at Chesterfield. Now, again, we've mentioned it already, great experience around these leagues and of course in international football. Did also play a couple games for Brazil's under-20s back in the day as well. So let's take a little look now at the player himself. Now, as you'll have been able to tell by the reaction to signing him, obviously people would have gone out and done their research. He's a very eccentric player, someone who is a very big risk taker. I likened him to Edison in, of course, Man City's Premier League team. He is someone who is more than capable of rushing very quickly out of the goal, coming off his line, playing on the edge of the box. Very good distribution. That is, for me, one of his top attributes. For me, his two key attributes that are going to really benefit Maidstone as a team who are probably going to look to play on the front foot quite a lot this season is distribution. Of course, as we've seen already, some of the kicking he displayed yesterday and the quick rolls out of the ball and throws out of the ball, really good. And claiming crosses, something which in the past Maidstone have been very poor at. We've not really had goalkeepers in a long time, at least under Hakan Hayrettin for a few years, that could command the box in terms of incoming crosses, dealing with corners, free kicks, that sort of thing. But against Slough, we saw Lucas Covolan deal with all those sort of things, obviously putting his height to his advantage, but positioning himself as well in a very good way on the edge of that 6-yard box, waiting for that ball to come into the middle. Maybe it'll cost us down the line, but it's going to benefit us a lot more than I think it'll cost us. Last season, we saw a lot of times goalkeepers just kind of standing on the goal line, waiting for the inevitable to happen, a ball to come in, not really doing anything to contribute dealing to it. But yesterday, we saw Covolan claiming the ball more often than not, and if he couldn't manage to get a good claim on it, getting his fist on it, launching that out of the box. So very impressed with that. As I said, lots and lots of key attributes which are really going to benefit Maidstone. Of course, that experience, handling as well, getting down and keeping a hold of shots is quite a good attribute of his as well. You want to have a safe pair of hands in the net. I know that sounds really basic, but I mean, as a Maidstone United fan, you will know that's not exactly something we've seen too much in recent years. So I think this is a very top signing. I'm very impressed with it. Taking a little look at some of the reviews, of course, of the player, which we do from time to time. The Analyst Bar on Twitter, of course, a very good scouting network who work with a lot of clubs around this level and higher, did claim that he's one of the best keepers, if not the best, at this division. And Offline Blog as well. So he's a very good shot stopper, one of the best with his feet in and around these leagues as well. So you've got to look at, very credible sources there, obviously with high praise for Covolan. Looking at a few fan opinions as well. I've gone back looking at Torquay fans and things like that on his move to Port Vale. All of them seem to love him. Obviously, what he did for them in that playoff final was exceptional. That's never going to be forgotten by them, even though they didn't win. I mean, you can never forget a 96th minute equaliser from your goalkeeper in a playoff final. But, sentimental value aside, he was fantastic in goal for them as well. Seen a few Chesterfield fans saying, good luck and he's awful and things like that. I don't pay any attention to that. Chesterfield as a team was very poor last season, very much lower in the bar for themselves. They were meant to be up there challenging for that title and they weren't. And for me, I think that's probably very harsh on Covolan. I think that when you don't do as well, you've got to find someone to blame. And that seems to be, for me, the player they decide to pick. I'm not being funny. He didn't even play a third of their games last season, and they want to blame the whole season on him. They didn't do very well for the rest of the season. So, yeah, to me, I would not pay attention to that. I'm very happy with the deal, and especially at this level as well, where he's going to get a lot more time on the ball. He's going to have a lot more of a solid team around him. and a very, very good back line as well. So all in all, really happy with the signing. Welcome Lucas Covolan to Maidstone United. I think everybody is very, very pleased with what we've got and what we've seen so far against Slough Town. So if you have made it this far in the video, thank you all so very much for watching. Stay tuned on the channel by subscribing down below. As I said at the start of the video, check out the socials as well. They'll all be in the description. And I'll catch you in the next one.